Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the video where I answer some questions from Patreon about Supernatural Season 6 and my opinions on the season and a few other fun questions. If you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Scott. I do reactions here on YouTube. I've done reactions to the first 6 seasons Supernatural. There's a playlist on my channel with every episode in, so go take a look at that. But if you do want to take part in any Q&As in the future and ask me some questions about my opinions on the seasons, go take a look at my Patreon link down below in the description box, because as I get to the end of each season of most of the shows that I do, I'll put out a request for questions to ask. I like answering some fun questions. I definitely stole this idea from other YouTubers, but I think it's a fun way to look back on the season before starting the new season. So let's jump into the questions. I've broken them up a little bit from how they were asked on Patreon. I've broken them up to kind of like, the first bunch of questions are about this season, my opinions on this season's, and some of the fun questions in there, and the last bunch of questions are about kind of future seasons and predictions for what's to come. So let's jump into the questions. So the first question is from Cara. Hi. And she says, which episode from the season or any season would you want to be stuck in changing channel style? Which I think is a really fun question, because I just think it's fun to look back on all the show. But which one would I want to be stuck in on changing channel style? So I want to be stuck in something really fun. Now part of me says I'd want to be stuck in season 6 episode 3. Just in that beginning bit, I'll play the part of the sex worker with Sam. I mean, come on now. That was a beautiful, beautiful moment of the show. But in general, in terms of an actual episode, changing channels itself would be quite fun to be stuck in it, because that was obviously hitting a few different genres, and just being one day I'm in like a medical drama, then I'm in a crime drama, then I'm in an advert, and that could be really fun. But trying to pick something that's not changing channels, and I've not prepared answers for this question, so I'm trying to think of answers on the spot. I would probably say, just off the top of my head, the first thing that comes to mind is probably Monster Movie, maybe? Is that what it was called? From season 4? Because I love horror films. I love the classic monsters, Dracula, werewolves, mummies, and the visual style of the episode, which was very black and white. I think it'd be a really fun setting to be in. Maybe something like Frontierland, to go back and be a cowboy in the Wild West. That could be quite cool. But Monster Movie is the one, to me, that jumps up straight into my mind as that would be cool to be stuck in. Just a really fun genre to experience from that point of things. But if not Monster Movie, maybe Frontierland, or maybe just changing channels itself to be stuck in like various different, genres, or something like The French Mistake, where I'm transported to a world where my name is Scott and I'm an actor playing me in this, which would be a very boring TV show. Unless it's like the Truman Show, I guess. But something where I'm not me, I'm someone that's playing me. I have a whole other life. That could be quite interesting to see that as well. I hope that answers your question well enough. But yeah, Monster Movie, changing channels itself, Frontierland, or French Mistake. They're the ones that come to my mind. She also asks, what's your favourite character moment from the season? Favourite character moment? I actually really loved, I guess it's more of an episode than a moment, but Weekend at Bobby's. Just to spend more time with Bobby himself and see what he's like when he's not helping the boys, and how helping the boys is usually a small part of his day. Now, obviously, some episodes he's a main character in it, and he's in a lot of their investigations, and he's around them a lot. But then there's episodes where he's just part of a phone call, and it was cool to see his life and the romance that he's trying to set up with the neighbour, and just the various things that he goes through when it's not all about Sam and Dean. And I don't know if it was this season or last season. I feel like it was Weekend at Bobby's when he called Sam and Dean out. If it was, that's one of my favourite moments. When he kind of sat them down and was like, not everything is about you. This is not... My life is more than just you. If you ring for help, obviously he will try and help. Of course he will. But if he can't get there on time, or if he's got things to do, he's got a whole other life. I think the same kind of conversation with... I think she was called Rachel and Castiel with regards to Sam and Dean. Like, there's more going on in the world than you. And I love those moments this season, because whilst I love Sam and Dean a lot, they do have this tendency to be like, everything's about us and we need help, everyone should come running. So I think if it was definitely this Weekend at Bobby's where he had a chat with them about the world's not just about you two, then that was my favourite character moment, because that was incredible. If not that, I really enjoyed the last moment with Castiel when he was God. That was scary, but in like a dark way. Like, it made me really excited for the next season, but also very scared for the next season. But yeah, I think I'm just going to go with when he shouted at Sam and Dean about there's more to life than you. Then that is my choice. So the next question is from, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this correctly, A Shield. I apologise if that's wrong. I see you commenting quite a lot on Patreon, so nice to speak to you. But I think it's a shield, and I apologise. I'm so sorry. If not, please correct me down below. Was there a character moment that really stood out to you that you disliked? So, what did I not like? I mean, have you met Samuel? I didn't like his character in general, but I guess his reasoning for bringing Sam and Dean back in that moment where he's like, I'm doing this because I'm a father and I'm trying to bring Mary back. Sure, I can get like wanting to bring your daughter back to life. However, that's so frustrating to me that you're then sacrificing and betraying and, you know, conspiring against your own grandchildren to bring back your daughter. So when your daughter gets brought back, obviously initially she'll probably just be told that Sam and Dean have been killed by a demon, whatever. But eventually she's probably going to find out in this world, the truth always comes out. Whatever happens in the darkness comes out in the light, whatever the phrase is. Until that character moment of Samuel going, I'm gonna basically betray you and hand you over to the demons so I can get Mary back, is horrendous to me, because Mary's not going to be happy when she finds out that Samuel betrayed her kids to bring her back to life. She will be so pissed off and like, I would rather be dead than you doing this and killing my children for me to come back to life. So Samuel's reasons was a moment that I didn't particularly like. And there was a moment that kind of irked me. And I don't know if it's a standout moment for people who've watched the show in particular, but it was just something about this moment that bothered me. In the episode Let It Bleed, when Dean wiped the memories of Lisa and Ben, he got into the car with Sam, and Sam said something along the lines of, this is like the stupidest thing you've ever done. And he was quite angry with him. And that really irritated me, because Dean's doing it to try and protect Lisa and Ben. Now, the best way to protect Lisa and Ben would be to wipe Dean's memories as well, because demons can still target Lisa and Ben. They won't know who Dean is, but Dean will know who they are. So they're still a pawn to use against Dean in a way, because if Dean finds out they're in trouble, he's going to come running, even though they don't know who he is. So the best thing would have been to wipe Dean's memory. So maybe Sam was angry in the sake of like, same as me, I wanted you to be happy with them eventually. They liked you and they loved you. I wanted you to have a future with them one day. Maybe that's why Sam was angry. But it came across like, oh, you just doing something really stupid. And that bothered me, I think, a little bit. I don't know, I feel like there's going to be more moments that I forgot throughout this season, because it just felt like I've forgotten some of the earlier moments of the season. So please let me know down below in the comments what your favourite and least favourite character moments are. I'd be interested to know what you guys think, because there's probably some that I've forgotten. Shield also asks, what was your favourite episode? I'm not going to answer that here. You'll have to take a look at my tournament episode that I just put out before this one. I work out what my favourite episode and my least favourite episode is of the season by going through every episode. So please take a look at that. The answer will be over on the episode for you, and my least favourite episode as well. And they also ask, what was your favourite multi-episode storyline? Now, I think, thinking back on the season, probably the Alphas. I really like meeting the Alphas, investigating the Alphas, coming across some of them and seeing their powers, because it's really cool to me. I like the monsters and the various different like bad guys that we have, and it's cool to me to think, okay, we've got vampires, we've seen really bad vampires, we've seen someone who's trying to be good who's a vampire, we've seen someone that we know turned into a vampire, and I mean Dean and the Hunter. And so it's cool to say, okay, here's another level of vampire. It's the alpha vampire. They're harder to kill, they're more powerful, and they were really cool. And obviously we saw the alpha shapeshifter. Did we meet some other alphas? Did we meet an alpha skinwalker? I can't remember, but the idea of the alphas, and they are a more powerful version of a creature that we already know, I think is really exciting, because you can take that in a lot of different directions. You can have an alpha be a big bad villain because they're so powerful. Like we saw with the vampire, he was putting like thoughts into people's heads, he made people pass out, he could escape from this thing that would only torture other vampires, but he was just like, ow, that hurts. And I just think the idea of the alphas is really cool, and I'm hoping that we get to see more of them, with the whole purgatory thing kind of being resolved to a degree, in terms of they've opened purgatory now, they found it, they've opened it. I don't know what the need for the alphas will be, but just the idea of the alphas is really cool, and I'm hoping we get to see more of them. So I think that's probably my favourite kind of storyline this season, was like the alphas and the hunt for them, and just seeing how powerful they are. The next question is from Susan, and she says, did you like the season overall? I do. I think it turned out to be one of their stronger seasons, but how do you feel about it? I think overall, I enjoyed the season. I did. It was definitely very different, and that's where some of my kind of hesitations lie for this season and some of my concerns about the storyline and the plotting and the pace at times, which kind of is part of what she says as well, which is, I know you didn't like or felt like they squandered the Eve storyline, but I feel, and I could be wrong because I've seen season 6 a few hundred times, but I feel that she's a red herring of sorts, as Cassie's the real orchestrator of the season, maybe not a real big bad until the last few episodes, but I feel like it was really his character that was driving everything, so Eve was just a means to an end, not meant to be a real forceful character. And you're absolutely right. Now, once you've seen the season as a whole, she's not this big bad, but I think the fact that they were setting it up that she was this big bad villain for the last half of the season, and she wasn't, in some shows that could be done pretty well. But I think I was so excited for Eve, and I liked the actress, and I was excited to see her storyline ramping up, that I was just disappointed that it ended. Now, it made sense when you know about Castiel and Crowley and all that kind of jazz, and how he is the orchestrator of the season, like you say. But I think the pace of the season for me really just took me back a little bit. Even though I finished the season and I look back on it, yes, it's a good season. I don't think it's a bad season. I know some people say after season 5 it's all kind of downhill from there, but there is obviously some really big fans of Supernatural that are saying, no, I love this season, like it's great, and there's other future seasons which are even better, which I'm really excited for. But I think, back to your question, because I'm diverting off somewhere else, is, did you like the season overall? Yes, I did. Was it my favourite season? No. And I'll talk about that in a minute for another question that's coming up. But I did enjoy the seasons. It just definitely felt very different to me from the past season. I can't necessarily pinpoint a specific reason, other than maybe going back to the Eve conversation that we're just having and Castiel. The past seasons felt like they had a very big drive to the finale from the very beginning, which was Yellow Eyes, the Special Children, Dean's death in season 3, breaking the seals in season 4, and the Lucifer and the Apocalypse from season 5. From the very first episode, we knew what was happening. Whereas, like, this season, obviously it all ties together. For episode 1, we talked about Alphas, and then Samuel, and how he was fitting in with Crowley, and they brought Sam back, and that all ties into the search for Purgatory. But because, I guess, we were finding things out at a different pace, it felt very different. And because we were, Crowley's the big bad, oh actually no he's not, Eve's the big bad, oh no she's not, it's Castiel really, and Crowley all along, who wasn't actually dead. And maybe that I was getting, building up my hate for Samuel for the big finale, and then he died earlier on, building up my love for Eve and that big storyline, and that stopped, building up my love for Crowley at the beginning, and then that dropped. And it felt like a very roller coaster season for me, in terms of, I didn't know, I said a few episodes ago, who to root for, and so that's why the season just kind of felt disjointed and harder for me to kind of get on board with as much as I have the past seasons. But like, looking back on it as a whole, yeah, I really liked it, and I'm excited to do a rewatch of it, knowing where it all goes and how it all ties together. I think that will make the season better for me, and I think obviously they've got some great episodes in here, like I talked about in the ranking episode, some real standout episodes: French Mistake, Weekend at Bobby's, the end of the season finale, Appointment in Samara. I love Truth episodes. I liked the Mannequin episodes, and just there was a lot of different episodes throughout that I actually really enjoyed. So when I do a rewatch of the season, knowing how all the big storyline fits together, I think I'm going to enjoy it more. But yes, to answer your question once again, did I like the season? Yes, I just felt it very disjointed. Excited to do a rewatch of it to hopefully appreciate it a bit more. But in terms of where it ranks with the other seasons, I'll get to that shortly. I asked for more questions on Patreon, and she said, what's your favourite colour? Does that count? No, it doesn't count. It's not about Supernatural. However, my favourite colour is the orange or yellow. I don't know why. I want to say orange. I really like orange. Not really sure why. I just think orange is I like the colour orange, and I like orange flavoured things, so I'm going to go with orange. There you go. So this is kind of a joint question between two different people. Cara says, what's been your favourite season so far and your least favourite? A Shields says, where does season 6 rank when compared to the other seasons? Now, I've not sat down with every season, looked back on it properly, and done a full ranking of the first 6 seasons so far. I probably should have done in preparation for this video, because that would make a lot more sense, so I can keep doing it as I go along. But just off the top of my head, and this is not definitive, I may well change this, for season 7, at the end of the season 7, I'll try and do a proper ranking so that as I go through the rest of the 15 seasons, we'll have a definitive ranking. My initial just takeaway from right now, what's at the top of my head, And please don't shout at me down below in the comments because this might become very controversial. But this is just what's jumping into my mind right now is from least favourite to favourite, season 6. In 6th place, season 6. Season 1. In 4th place, season 3. Season 5. Season 2, then season 4 at the top, I think. I'm not going to go into that in a lot of detail because I need to probably look back on those seasons before I do a full ranking. But that's just initially off the top of my head where I'm thinking is bottom season 6. I'm sorry, Susan, I know it's one of your favourite seasons. You just said that. At the top, season 4, I think. Because that's the one I feel like I definitely got the most emotionally involved in, whether I was crying or screaming at the screen. So, yeah, I'm hoping that isn't too controversial. Adopt Don't Shop Pets asked, how are you feeling about the mix of Heaven storylines with Monster of the Week? Does it still feel like a horror show to you? And I think that's a very interesting question. And I think maybe that's part of the reason why, to me, season 6, I'm less in love with than the earlier seasons, because what sold me on this show when I watched season 1 was I loved how horror-based it was. And I'm thinking that maybe the reason they're asking that is because that was a fan complaint maybe at the time. Maybe that's why season 6 onwards is a very different feel to it. The original seasons felt very dark, and whilst there was an ongoing storyline throughout the season, there was a very good balance of Monster of the Week and mythology or storyline episodes, however you want to call it, like main story arc stuff with Yellow Eyes, Heaven, Angels, all that kind of jazz. And I definitely feel like as the show's gone on, they definitely veered away from that to a degree. And that's why I love it when I get the odd Monster of the Week episode. I really love that because I love a show with Monster of the Week episodes. I've talked about this many times. Buffy, Angel, X-Files, Charmed. Shows like that where every now and again you've got to get this episode. It's just a fun, isolated story where they're trying to stop this monster demon, whatever it is. And I love that. Now, the fact that the show's veered away from that, I don't love. It's not the best decision for me. Like, even some of the Monster of the Week episodes in season 6 tied into the Heaven storyline. Like, it could have been a fun Monster of the Week with someone's gone back and stopped the Titanic from sinking. Well, that then tied into the Angels needing, Castiel needing the souls. French Mistake could have been a fun Trickster episode in past seasons where the Trickster just throws them into this universe where they're actors. But that tied into the main storyline because they were being kept away from this. They had a key, or they thought they had a key to be kept away from Balth and Raphael. So all the Monster of the Week episodes tend to, on the most part, tie into the main storyline. Except for maybe some like Mannequin, I think, was its own little thing. And so for me, I don't love the change in focus. It doesn't feel as horror as it used to be. It's definitely a lighter tone from a visual point of view. The actual colours of the show and the brightness of the show is definitely increased, and so it's definitely not as dark visually as it used to be. I know it doesn't feel as horror as it used to. Like, we used to have loads of things like the Hookman and Bloody Mary and the Bugs episode, controversial. It was probably my favourite episode of the season. The Scarecrow episode, the Faith Healer episode, the Evil Truck episode. Going back to season 1, like, it was great. It had some great horror ghosts and monsters and plot lines that we don't get anymore very often, and I miss that. I really miss that. And it was a concern I had earlier on when I was doing the initial run of the show, the initial few seasons. Someone did make a comment that the Monster of the Week episodes kind of dwindle as the show goes on, and that makes me sad, really sad, that there just isn't as many, because I think that one of the show's strongest points is fantastic Monster of the Week episodes mixed in with the Angel stuff and the Heaven stuff and all the ongoing storylines. And I think it makes the ongoing storyline stronger because it's not rammed into every episode, and because we don't have to spend every episode focusing on the bad guys of the season, that when they do, it's exciting. I'm going to move on to the next question because I think I'm rambling, but I hope that makes sense. In terms of some questions on kind of what to expect for the future, my predictions, Adopt Don't Shop Pets also asked, now that Sam's hell wall is broken, what do you think will happen, or what would you like to see happen? So in regards to Sam and his hell wall and remembering what he's been through, I'm hoping we still don't get like a super dark Sam, because that whole soulless aspect of him was fun whilst it lasted. I'm glad that it ended. And yes, he was dark and broody and really, really sexy. Ooh. And I'm hoping there's maybe a part of that Sam can bring into him. But I hope we don't lose fully the whole Sam that cares, the empathetic Sam. We saw that, I think it was the episode just after he got his soul back, when they were going on a case, the stark contrast between soulless Sam and Sam, like, oh, it must be really hard for you. Like, I feel for you. Something that he said to someone that I was like, oh my God, Sam is back. I think it was at someone's front door. I think that's right. And I'm hoping that we get a mix of that with Sam as hot bathroom sex, right? Like, I'd love that. I'd absolutely love that. And because that is a reference to an episode, not just a random fantasy of mine. But just like, I want a sympathetic Sam who's caring, and he's like the puppy dog, the one that people like open up to, with maybe a bit of like he's quite hardcore when it comes to certain situations as well. He's willing to make harder decisions. He is anyway, but just maybe bringing that in. But in terms of like his hell wall being broken, I don't know what's going to go forward with that storyline. It felt like maybe the finale was dealing with all that, and now he's got memories of hell and stuff. Maybe there's more things that he can remember that from down in there that might help him become a better hunter. I don't know, because he was trapped in the cage the whole time. But the fact that you asked that question makes me think that that's going to become a storyline maybe in the next season. I don't know, really. She also asks, what do you think Cass is going to be like as the new god? What is he going to do, and how will Sam, Dean and Bobby react? Now, judging from the end of the finale, he's going to be a dictator in some ways. Like, I am your new god, you bow down to me, you kneel before me. And that is scary, because these are your friends. These are the ones that you care about, and you know, we're on good terms till that last few minutes, and now he wants to be in charge. He's got all this power. You bow down to me. Like, you kneel before me. I am your god. You worship me. And that is scary, because that means all the power has gone to his head. Maybe this is going to be an initial rush from all the souls, and maybe after a bit of time he'll calm down a bit and be more like Castiel again, or we're going to have to stop him and fight against him. It feels like he could be quite a dictator and just, you do as I say, or I'll destroy you, like he said at the end of the season. You know, if I say you go and deal with the situation, you do it, or I'll destroy you. So that could lead to some really difficult storylines, plot lines, because if Sam and Dean and Bobby don't do what Cass wants, he could try and kill them. Now, we know how powerful he is, so it's going to be hard to fight against him. So maybe they're going to be pushed into a situation where they have to do as they're told for fear of death. Maybe Castiel's going to wipe out loads of people in heaven and take over and rule, like they compared him to Lucifer in a way, or did they compare Crowley to Lucifer? They compared someone to Lucifer, and he'll rule heaven in a really bad way, in which case he could be like the bad guy in the next season, which is Castiel as this evil god. And maybe a lot of people from heaven, a lot of the angels there are going to follow him and do bad things because they're scared to go against him. Which is a horrible way to rule heaven as well. Like, with the whole point we didn't want to have Raphael, that's because he was going to be this evil guy, be a dictator. Obviously his plan was to start the apocalypse, which we don't think Castiel wants to do. But just ruling it the way it seems like at the end of the season, it's going to be bad as well. But I think he's just going to be very scary and very demanding, forceful, dominant. Which, you know, in some ways could be very fun. But I don't know whether it's going to be like the whole season's going to be Castiel's a bad guy, we have to stop him, or this is the initial like rush of power, and maybe after a bit of time the power's going to get too much, because they did talk about him being like a nuclear reactor, like at some point he's going to explode if he takes all those souls in, so maybe that fits into it as well, and that's what they try. Maybe he's powerful and evil, but then he realises he can't handle it, goes to Sam and Dean and Bobby to try and help him kind of come back to normal again. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm scared and excited to see where they take it. And the final questions come from Susan, and she says, what are your expectations for this new era of the show post Kripke? I, for one, can't wait to see you get to seasons 8 to 11. I really enjoy those seasons, but just wondering what you're looking for, if anything. Now, just going back to your point, you said you can't wait to see we get to season 8 to 11. It's interesting that you missed out season 7, because I actually just, curiously the other day, typed into YouTube, Google, and I don't know why I did this. I don't know. I was wanting to wonder what I put in. What's the worst season of Supernatural? Because I wanted to see if it was season 6. Because if it was season 6, because at the minute it's my least favourite, then that's great, because that means everything's great. And it did say, I think it was like the first question result, like with the drop down questions that Google has, was season fans say that season 7's the worst season. So I'm like, oh, God, okay. But that makes me excited for what's after season 7, I guess. But that means the next season's going to be potentially the worst season of the show. I didn't read any more than that or why they see that as the worst season of the show. But in some ways that's good, because if in a 15-season show, season 7's the worst, then that is great for the final run of the show, right? Makes me nervous for the next 20, I think it's 23 episodes the next season, I think. But season 8 to 11 are some of your favourites. Awesome, that's good. What are my expectations for the new era? I don't really know, because I feel like, as I said in season 5, once you've hit the end of the world, the apocalypse, Armageddon, Lucifer, where do you go from there? Obviously, this season tied into that because it was like the fallout of Lucifer dying and God going is like this power struggle in heaven and hell. Crowley taking that place, and now Castiel taking that place, and this next season maybe is going to focus on Castiel. So maybe if they keep focusing on the tying it all in, maybe. But I kind of hope that we get some new villains that are just ones that don't tie into heaven and the angels, because I enjoyed season 4 and 5, and that was great. Season 6 was good in terms of tying it with heaven. I'm okay for it to diverge to something else now. Like, I don't want it to keep being dragged out too much. Now I know we've got Castiel and God and that whole thing, which is going to tie in. But if every season carries on tying into heaven, similar to that question before, I'm maybe going to get a bit tired of it. So I'm ready for some new villains, which I guess is why I was excited for Eve. Because I'm ready for a new monster or this new bad guy to rise. I don't know who they are, I don't know what they're going to be, but I want something different. My expectations, I know people have said, like I said before, the Monster of the Week episodes kind of dissipate to some degree. I think there's always Monster of the Week, but just less and less of them, which makes me sad quite a lot, because I'm nervous about how they're going to fit in with the show. Because like I said, this season, most of the Monster of the Week episodes tied into the ongoing story arc, which is a shame. I want just an isolated, scary ass monster story that I can just watch by itself without needing to watch the whole season around it. It's so good, you know. Episodes like The Benders and, oh god, Tall Tales, and I can't even think, like the Hollywood Babylon. Things like, do you know, I'm thinking back of like early season of Monster of the Week, which I loved. The one with the teddy bear that could talk, that Wish one, and, you know, the Monster movie, those kind of things. Great. So in terms of what I'm looking for, Monster of the Week is the answer, because I love the Monster of the Week episodes. However, I'm aware that I might be disappointed with some levels of Monster of the Week balanced with ongoing storylines. But similar to what I said for my expectations, I kind of want new bad guys, new monsters, maybe a new character, a couple of new main characters would be nice. I know Jodie, who's been in it once or twice, is in it. I think she becomes a bigger character later on. I believe someone said that, or I've read that somewhere. But maybe like a new character. I don't know how though, because obviously it's always hard when you've got this core group, which is like now Sam Dean, Bobby, Castiel. Introducing a new character can be difficult because it's how they fit into that group, and if it changes the dynamic. Sometimes that's good though, because with a long running show, having the same dynamic over and over and over again gets a bit stale. So I'm excited to see any more new regular characters come into the show. I was hoping that woman who was a professor that Bobby had a thing with, when she was in a couple of episodes, I was like, oh, it'd be cool if she's like a regular, because she has all this knowledge of like artifacts and power and whatnot, and it'd be great to see how she could fit into the show quite easily, because she could be a good person that we go to help us with cases. However, she got killed. So that didn't happen. So as well as knowing that the show gets brighter visually, because I'm sure I saw a trailer towards the end of the show's run when it was on TV. It was a very bright show, so I didn't realise it was supernatural at first, till Sam Dean appeared in the trailer, and it was like, this feels very bright compared to like the early seasons where it was very dark, like just from a brightness visual point of view. But just what I want: more Monster of the Week, more shirtless Sam and Dean. Just Sam, a whole episode with Sam just walking around with no top on would be great. A whole season of that would be even better. And if he wants to take more clothes off, that's fine. But I don't think that's going to happen. I want some great emotional moments. I'm sure that will happen. Maybe some new characters, but definitely some new bad guys and ongoing storylines that don't focus on heaven and angels or hell. I think would be great, because I'm enjoying what there is, but I don't think that they can drag it out for too much longer without it getting a bit stale. So we'll see. we'll have to wait and see. I hope that answers your question. Okay, and those are all the Patreon questions that I have for season 6 of Supernatural. So if you want to ask any questions for me for the end of a season or the end of some shows, some of the big shows that I'm doing, please take a look at the Patreon link down below. It will help support the channel, but you'll also be able to ask me questions in it. And if I do start any new shows, I probably will put a poll up over on Patreon as well. But yeah, I really enjoy those kind of questions. They're really fun. And if I talk too much, but I get loads more questions for the next season, I'm going to try and answer things in a shorter space of time. But let me know down below what your answers are to some of these questions as well. Like, you know, what were your favourite episodes, your favourite character moments, and also what episode would you like to be in, changing channel style? Let me know down below. And I apologise if my ranking of the seasons is controversial. Like I say, I've only watched the seasons properly once, minus editing the episodes as well. I've not actually sat down and rewatched any of the seasons, except for the start of season 5. That was because I took about a year, 9 months to a year break from recording, and so I had to rewatch the start of the season to know what's going on. But other than that, I've not rewatched any episodes, so apologise if my ranking was controversial. But as always, my name is Scott. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave some comments down below with your comments and your reactions and your answers to these questions. Take a look at the Patreon link down below to support the channel, and I'll see you all very soon for the first episode of season 7 of Supernatural, which I'm scared now. But anyway, if it's a bad season, I'm going to try and find some stuff to enjoy anyway. So I'm excited to start that, whatever happens. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all very soon for the next episode. Bye guys. Take care. Stay safe.